Hey, what's up? Silas here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about censorship and belief, and specifically how your belief systems, help you or adjust how you deal with your reality tunnel, both in how you speak to people, what you produce in your reality tunnel, and what you accept from others and experiences in that reality tunnel. As in, you see something happen, you filter it through your belief system, and then that's what is actually happening to you. It's not necessarily exactly what happened. We're not kind of in situations where we're take photographic memory and full understanding of every single thing and understand all occasions or all happenings in the same way. I think that's might be a very basic thing to say, but I think some things bear repeating. I got my first YouTube strike on Friday, and over the weekend, I've been spending my time trying to transfer my library of my YouTube videos over to BitChute with some mixed results, but I might talk about that later here. But anyway, there's also going to be links below to my BitChute channel if you'd like to check it out on that aspect. If you're on BitChute or if you're transferring over, etc., etc., please follow me there too as well. So, this strike, I appealed it, and with the appeals process, hopefully some of you have never gone through this, but it comes up that says, okay, your video has been taken down. The video was my gun control arguments, and I see false flags. And for those of you wondering those two things, my ongoing theme in this channel, one of them is different things happen for the same reasons, or the same things happen for different reasons. So just thinking about that itself, I kind of also think with the videos, what are two different titles I can name this video? Or what are two different things that I can name this same video? So I kind of go with that as the naming structure for it. I might switch it because I don't think it really plays well to actually get people to come to your channel. The way you give titles and things like that actually gets more people in. But yeah, for now I'll stick with it. So I got the strike on that, and I appealed the process. When you hit the appeal process, it gives you this one line to kind of put a response in. So I thought I put greetings and I hit enter, and then instead of it jumping down to give me more place to actually write, it sent it. And very few messages actually work that way in my experience. But anyway, so I sent another one with more of a question saying, okay, what exactly did I violate? I think they got the first response because they held up that strike and I still have a strike on my channel. That means if I can't appeal another strike in 60 days, if another strike comes in 60 days, then I can't access my channel, which I think is a similar thing that happened to someone like Sargon of Akkad's channel. He has a rather big channel. I think he's almost to 1 million subs, if not higher. And then if you get a third strike, while you still have those two strikes, then your channel gets taken down, which I think happened to Infowars or Alex Jones' channel, and that's a really massive channel. I think that one is in the 2 millions. So that's the kind of situation where I have to think, okay, what am I doing with my channel? What are ways to kind of protect myself? Is this a kind of situation where it's worth actually keep making videos? Is it worth appealing? Is it worth raising up a stink? What am I actually doing with the channel? Do I find the material that I'm creating worthwhile to be out there and to be shared with people? And do I find the interactions that I'm having positive? And after going through BitChute and making sure I have my videos up and switching them over, going through to the older things and seeing that I've been making videos for, I think, regularly for about a year now, and just seeing the material that I started with and coming through now and seeing that, okay, some of the stuff I may have repeated myself somewhat, but it was kind of an interesting refresher and reminder to the stuff that I was making and thinking like, hey, yeah, I actually think I like what I'm doing. I'd like to do more about this. I'd like to make more videos. I'd like to keep doing this. I'm liking the interaction that I'm having with the few people that decide to comment. And thank you guys for those who do that and give your input and say, okay, maybe you should be on a tangent. Maybe you should make some longer videos. Would you like to talk about this topic? It's really appreciated. I just want to say that here. But it's this whole process of uploading kind of made me think about just this YouTube purge situation, how people are talking about it's become such a massive industry that it's at the point where it should be regulated by the government. And me coming back politically more from like an ANCAP libertarian type, small government to no, small state to no state. Because when you say government, I think there's a misconception there. Even in a situation where you have no leaders that are above the law, or situations where the laws are there, anarchy doesn't mean no laws, doesn't mean no rule, doesn't mean no orders. It just means the orders are clear, the rules are clear, the laws are clear, and everybody in that community, in that area, is subject to it. Now, with this thing, this strike that I got, I'm not really sure what in the video actually got that strike. I looked at the harassment guidelines and also leave a link below to that image where you guys can read through. And this happens to actually be one of the videos that I didn't completely back up after I had published it, after I had put it together, but I still have clips from it. So I'll just kind of talk about it a bit. So part of it was my gun control arguments going over this common sense gun control things and me saying, okay, look, there's not that much actual common sense in the things that people are proposing. How exactly will those laws actually address the problems that occurred in the situation that you're talking about or future problems? And then with this kind of YouTube thing, they send you this thing and they seem to rely on like, oh, these are the common sense guidelines. And I'm like, what do you mean common sense guidelines? Is it possible for you to actually just point out what exactly I did wrong and then I can understand and then go forward? But no, they just say common sense guidelines. And in both situations, the people who are saying common sense gun control truly believe they're helping their cause or whatever it is in the situation, whether it's a power grab, whether it's actually fear of actually being in these attacks, whether it's other things. I truly believe that they truly believe what they're saying makes sense. And that's kind of changing the way they approach the world, their belief system. With YouTube, I truly believe they think they're doing what's positive for their platform. And I'll argue later that it actually could still be positive for their platform, even if they kick out a vast amount of people. Most of the people that I actually listen to or partake in these kind of areas of YouTube are a small percentage of what YouTube actually is. Next is the whole false flags things. I was talking about how people, mostly politically on the right, go about false flags and how I don't necessarily think that what's going on in the Parkland after the Parkland shooting is actually a false flag situation. I don't think that was a false flag, and I don't think the kids' effect was actually a situation where they're crisis actors. And there's a really good article I'll also leave below where it's talking about that further, where it's saying, okay, these kids aren't crisis actors, but they are being backed by some very interested people, some very professional actors in the field of activism and things like that, and also just actual actors. And that one I'm completely accepting of. I don't think it has to be a false flag, but good article. You can check that out below too. So with that one, I think with this situation of this YouTube purge, one thing I do agree that actually could be happening, because I've seen it happen before, and I've actually seen content creators ask their fans not to do this, because they'll say, well, we're talking about this video, but please don't go and do this, because some people actually will organize and say, hey, let's go do this, where they do false flagging, where they'll go around and flag down videos and just say, okay, we don't like this content creator, we don't like this person for any particular reason, we believe he's offensive, and we're going to click this down. We're just going to downvote. And then enough people do that, sometimes the entire channels can be taken down due to this. Now, that's an actual false flagging thing, but not false flag in the sense where people are setting up. I guess kind of that is what a false flag is, isn't it? People planning something that isn't actually what's happening in a situation. Although in that case, I think the people planning it truly believe this video shouldn't be there. So anyway, that's it for that. Now, the last part was something about belief, where I was talking about how in this clip from NTV, a channel here in Kenya, they were talking about some attacks that were happening in northern Kenya. Some teachers were being targeted by militants out there. And I thought their actual going through efforts to remove the belief system part of the militants and the lack of that belief system with the people they were targeting was very key. And I was like, why do they do this? Why do people, both the people who are running channels, believe this is a positive thing to do? And why do people do these actions based off of someone's belief and lack thereof belief? I feel there's a part of communication control there. There's understanding that information and changing someone's belief system is very key. Some people could believe if these people are taught this certain thing by these teachers, then we will lose certain control, or we will lose certain positive things we think our belief system will impart onto our children, on things like that, and onto our communities. And you kind of see that happening. And then some people are saying, oh, if you do this, if this is your solution, then we believe it will be harmful to these people. But then, I don't know, it was very frustrating how they didn't do that. So now I don't know, was it the gun control part, was it the false flag part, or was it the not mention of this one religion? And I think it was probably the mention of the religion. But we'll see how that goes. No, I was saying celebrities give good information. I mean, they give good examples, not good information. Well, good information, yes, information. Examples are just information, and that's a whole different things happen for different reasons. You can see something, and of late, I've been seeing celebrities do something, and then I can be like, oh my god, I can't believe they're doing that. But as I mentioned in the previous video, I think celebrities should talk more, but we should care less. We should put more we should hear more information from them, but not put it on a higher level than we would from any random person. We should take it as just this is X person talking about X situation and then analyze it at that situation. Don't go in and believe that, oh, this person, as somebody who excels at this, he'll also excel at this other unrelated thing. Even if there's, like, my example was LeBron James. Even if LeBron James is talking about basketball, which he is someone with the highest basketball IQ, you can still, I mean, you give him more of a benefit of a doubt when it comes to basketball, but he can still say false things about basketball. You can still hear him and be like, okay, is he saying that because that's what you say after a game? Is he saying that because that's what's worked for somebody who's 6'9" or 6'10" and 265 pounds that can jump out of the building and has peripheral vision that's a lot better than you? So you still take that material that he says and then analyze it into your actual life and things like that. But now if they're talking about something that's unrelated, you can question that even just like you would if this you were literally walking down the street, or if you were waking up in the morning, like sometimes you happen here, and you hear the call for prayer from I think there's a mosque where. That's what I'm wondering. Do Indian? I'll check also if Hindu churches and things like that have, but sometimes you hear a call for prayer here at different times of the day, and that's what I'm saying. If something was just yelled out in a call for prayer type of situation, just over some loudspeakers, you didn't know who it was coming from, where it was coming from, you wouldn't just do it, would you? Although, okay, so Rose McGowan was on Big Think. I saw this on a video. I don't know why she was on Big Think, but she was on Big Think, which is this channel or this show or this website where they get different personalities on and they kind of share their thoughts on different things. And she was on there and she was talking about a simple thing like, oh, she's been very vocal in the Me Too movement, so gender issues. She was saying she was on the Colbert show, Colbert show. Stephen Colbert. He's a late night type show. So he went on there and she was saying, okay, I was asking him, why is he wearing that suit? Why do you have to wear the suit? Why can't you wear different clothes? Why can't you do this and this? And he was like, oh, that's just kind of what I wear. That's what males wear. And I think I might have mentioned that in a previous video. There's a bit of a double standard there. And especially how you have some places like here in Kenya where you'll look at the parliament or just professional situations and you'll have the males just wearing the suits, the westernized suits and things like that. And then the females will wear all kind of female MPs, female senators, female politicians will get to wear all these very interesting, colorful outfits. They can wear Africanized fabrics and things like that, different designs. And I think there is an edge on that in getting people's attention. I think there's an underappreciated edge that, hey, somebody can hold my attention more if they're wearing a certain outfit. And I wanted to do this thing where I switched out all the prints and kind of designs that Hillary Clinton wore during her election to what Donald Trump was wearing. Like just have him the same style suits, but just change the fabrics and the prints. But I might get to that later. Back to the point. So he was talking about that, talking about this change, and then he went in and he asked. He said that after the actual show, he came in to her and asked, "Yeah, I've never really thought of that. Why do I have to wear a suit?" This was in the green room or in the back after the show. And I was thinking, like, the first thing you can think is like, oh, come on. He's had to have thought of that before. You're just completely making this up, Rose. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. But what if it's actually true? Some people have done things or they just do it. This is just kind of going through the motion. This is what's done. We're doing this because of people have done this. This is the way it's done. And don't underestimate what people actually know and what they don't. Don't underestimate how many times someone has to hear something repeated. It might just be saying something in a different way, understanding it in a different place, and then you happen to be in a certain place in your life on that day when you actually hear that information that all of a sudden it clicks like, oh yeah, I've never actually thought of that. And then from that, there's a whole cascade or domino effect of a lot of other things being knocked down where things come together. I don't know exactly how that happens. When is that last bite that comes in and makes something actually what it is? When is something actually completely uploaded into your mind, into your reality tunnel as part of what you're dealing with? I think that's something that is worth thinking about and trying to understand. If you guys know, I don't know, have you had those points where like, oh, Eureka, and then you're like, oh my God, how come I didn't hear this? How come I didn't understand this the last 2 years, or 2 years, 3 years, or however long that somebody had been telling me this thing? How come it didn't absorb? What happened with that? Do you guys understand that process? If you do, let me know. Then maybe I can actually apply it to myself as well. But yeah, so I understand that communication and information control of that is very key and it's very important. And I do understand with this YouTube purge, with certain information going out, it can be harmful to the people on there. But then now I wonder, when you're on YouTube, having certain information on there, how often do people actually get to this other information that offends them? In my case, I think it's more of people just sticking in the actual circles, in the actual areas that they're on. But if you have some counter information to what you think on that platform, there may be a way where somebody just decides, okay, let me just look outside the box. If this person says this one thing, let me actually just go on and see maybe if there's a counter argument. And then you go on and you find that. And I think it's positive to have all this information in one place because sometimes you might need to hear that thing, as I said, repeated, repeated, repeated. And if you're hearing this other thing repeated, 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 it gets longer and longer and stronger into your mind that it's harder for you to actually come out of that or understand things in a different way or challenge yourself and see if you can see if there's other sides to this. See if there's a different way to understand this same thing. I think that's a positive thing to do. That's a positive thing that's been there in my life where I think from, as I mentioned before, born in France, moved to Kenya, moved to the United States of America, lived in like the DC area, which is like suburbia, capital city, moved to West Virginia for school, for college, and now that's small town America, in that area. Then from there, go to Rome, finish up school in Turin, Italy, then come back to Nairobi, and then be spending time between the United States of America and Nairobi. That has given me the ability to see things, I think, in ways that I don't want to say in ways that other people can't, but in ways it's forced me to see certain things, certain lived experience things, which lived experience does have. I know sometimes I poo-poo on that, but lived experience does have something. You can live certain things and kind of absorb that. I think we are kind of creatures of our background, if that's not really a good term. But anyway, so it's given me a certain viewpoint on certain things, and it's made my mind approach certain things in certain ways, both positive and negative, and I'll start going through some of those in videos coming up, talking specifically about why I think my point of view might be different, and also why I think my point of view could be valuable to hear and share, even if I'm talking about similar topics that you've heard other people talk about before. Because that's one thing that I'm saying also with the repetition thing, with the belief systems, that sometimes you need to hear somebody say something in a similar way that you are familiar with, and then that might knock you out, even though you've been hearing something about that thing for years and years from other people who you don't really understand. Now, do you understand what I just said there? If you don't, I'm sorry, but I'll try to kind of talk about that more in recent videos. So, I'd like to talk about this belief system thing and something that I had thought about as an example for why this happens or how this happens. I'll kind of wind up on this. The video has been jumping around, but I tried to keep it to the same topic. But let's finish up with this and hopefully finish up strong. So, what I was saying with the belief system is I saw this thing recently of Oprah saying that, hey, I need a sign from God before I run for president. And as I mentioned, I hope she runs. This is out of entertainment. And I think she could actually surround herself with enough intelligent people politically and put enough of a platform out there for her to actually win the Democratic nomination. I don't think she can actually win the presidency, but hey, like she could run with pretty much anyone that has some political experience, like Kamala Harris or someone else like that. And then she could actually carry it to the actual. Although he's supposed to declare for vice president before or after the primaries. No, it's before. But can you remember one thing that Tim Kaine said in the last primary, in the last election? Tim Kaine was a vice president. Would have been the vice president if Hillary Clinton won. I can't remember one thing he actually said. But so I think the vice president isn't as important as people think until you actually get into the actual. Even when you get into the White House, they're kind of quiet. I mean, Mike Pence, which I'll talk about later here, has been, I think, a lot more active, but I think that's more because the media is just becoming more active and covering Donald Trump in a very fervent way. Fervent? It's not the right word, is it? Anyway, You have a situation where she's saying she needs a sign from God. And I've seen some people come out and say, oh, if you need a sign from God, then you shouldn't be running. That's something worrying. That's something troubling. But what I'm saying is intelligent about it is because she's kind of sending out feelers out there. How are people going to react to this? She's also sending some feelers out across the aisle. She's saying, yes, I know I don't have any experience. I know I may be on the left politically, but like most of you people, like many of you people here on the right politically, on the conservative side, I too am religious. Because earlier on, there was something with Joy Behar, who's a host on The View. She was talking about Mike Pence and saying, oh, okay, thoughts and prayers and praying and all that, that's okay, that's good. But then, if he says that he hears Jesus' voice in his head, he's hearing voices in his head, that's worrying about the things that I'm doing. And then there was a pretty large outcry on the right of people saying like, oh, I can't believe she's making fun of his religion. Why is she doing this? And Mike Pence very eloquently addressed it to how there's a separation of church and state, how there's a respect for people's religions in the United States of America, how it's enshrined in the Bill of Rights or the Constitution, etc. But I don't recall him actually denying that he hears voices from his God, that he gets signs directly from God. And that's one thing I'm asking you guys out there who are religious, believing in some deity or deities for the polytheists out there. Do you guys actually believe you get signs from this deity? Like, not kind of things where something happens and then you read it, not reading the tea leaves type thing, but some kind of interaction, direct signs where you can be like, yes, this is a direct sign, I can identify it. This is a sign for me to do X, Y, Z. Do you think that happens? If you do, please let me know. Kind of give me an example maybe, or just some kind of random thing, because I don't really feel that. I've tried for a while and I haven't really seen that actually be a reality in my reality tunnel. But anyway, so people on the right came out and said that. Now I'm wondering, will people on the right come out and defend what Oprah said? I don't think so, because their belief system and their politics are like, no, she's still politically on the right, I'm on the left. She's still going to become someone who is threatening us. She still has all these other things that we don't agree with. But some will soften up to her because of that and say, okay. But you won't have that outcry of people saying like, oh, these people making fun of Oprah for this need to be quiet, because some of those people are on their team, holding most of their beliefs of in a political sense. Now, will you have Joy Behar come out and be like, Oprah, you're waiting for a sign from God? That is very troubling. No, I don't think that's happened on The View. I mean, if it has, let me know and I'll definitely clap my hands and say, okay, I was wrong. Joy Behar is actually holding some consistency in what she's saying, but I doubt that will happen. I think she'll be silent. More, there's a sisterhood there that goes on in the situation, both in the sense of a sisterhood as they're female and they kind of stick together in that way, and also they also host on television in that way. And even bigger, she's on the left politically, she's going against Trump, and then everything that's going against Trump is permitted in that situation. But that made me think about something that I had thought of earlier. I'd recorded this thing that I didn't actually load up as a video, so I'll kind of condense what was in that situation. Where I was talking about how when you have a situation where somebody is religious, let's say there's a certain religion and you're reading the directions of that religion, there's a holy book. And in that holy book, somebody is fundamental to it, holds it, and says, okay, I'm going to take 90%, 90 to 100% of what's said in here and try to follow it exactly to how it was written. Then somebody else who's moderate will say, okay, I'm going to follow maybe 50%. I'm going to self-censor because my belief system is more moderate to this belief. I'm going to only follow 50% and kind of censor out the other 50%. So it's hard to criticize somebody who is doing 100% to 90 to 100% because they're saying, yes, I'm doing all that you're doing, except I'm going further. So it's harder for somebody in a moderate situation to criticize somebody who is more fundamental in that situation. Now it goes further if it's in a certain religion. If you go to a situation where it's a different religion but based off of the same thing. So let's say one religion you have Islam, the other religion you have Christianity, the other religions you have Judaism. Those are Abrahamic religions. So even people in those religions, it's hard for them to criticize even the moderate Muslim or the fundamentalist Muslim, I think, because in that situation, they're all based on this Abrahamic religion. They're all based on a belief system. They've all said that, yes, we understand that gods can talk to us in this certain form. There's one God. He has people on earth that he speaks to and communicates with. He interacts with the world in a certain way. We are all his creation, and we can take signs from him. So they understand that as a belief system. So anybody from any of those other religions who comes down and says, at the core of what I'm doing is this belief system that we share with you, it's hard for you to actually really go out and accuse these people of those things or be very critical of them. You will self censor yourself in how you approach these people and how you take in what they say. Another example is in politics. Now, I think fundamentalist statists in that situation are people like communists, socialists who want state to be involved in everything. They want a situation where gun violence happens. Let's get more government into it. Ignore the fact that all the government failures and there have been so many failures. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. This situation. It's like what that whole. There's this skit from Robot Chicken with with Darth Vader where it's like with Lando Calrissian where he keeps coming back in. It's like the plan has changed. Don't complain or alter this plan any further or something like that. I don't know. I'll leave a link below to that too as well. But you have this situation where so many problems come out, but then people say, after this, we need more government. The solution is more government involvement. We need to have the government protect us more, government take away guns from other people, more government programs, more government checks, instead of saying, hey, how about we go for the private solutions? Then the moderate statists are people more on the Republican side. They'll say, okay, instead of that, let's get veterans into the schools, which I've actually thought of, which was like, yeah, that's kind of a... But I think I need to talk about this in a separate video. This conspiracy theory thing with the veterans. Might tack it on at the end of this. But anyway, so they're saying we need veterans in the school, so that's more government involvement. We need to arm the teachers or train the teachers. That's still more government involvement. It's not to the extent of taking all the guns away or increasing huge police forces that are organizing in the actual situation to protect the schools. But it's a lesser extent, but they're also talking about let's have more government solutions, but to a lesser extent. So if you're a moderate statist, it may be hard for you to say that maybe the state involvement in and of itself is the actual issue. Somebody coming from the ANCAP side that I am on, anarcho-capitalism, I can say like, hey, how about we have private solutions to this? Why don't we take the government out of this? Why don't we close the schools? Why don't we get to a situation where we encourage more homeschooling and there's more ways to cure that? Encourage more like neighborhood homeschooling. You can have these little satellite schools where people kind of rotate around. That's a separate video. But you have that kind of situation where it's kind of harder to criticize that fully. And that's just what I'm kind of getting at to say that, look, if you're in a certain situation, if you hold a certain belief system, it's hard to criticize people who take that belief system further. So we need to get to the point where people understand that the thing to believe in is facts, is information. We need to get to the point where we say, let's try to get as much information as possible to people and let them decide. There's this one excellent thing I saw in this guy talking about this project where instead of helping people in the third world by teaching them how to fish, instead of teaching them how to fish, instead of saying, look, we in the first world, we fish, we eat this fish, and this helps us. Instead of doing that, give them access to the pond, give them access to the information. Let them be able to actually get there, get to that water, and then once they're at the water, they can say, okay, what can I do with this water? Can I build a boat? Can I have some kind of like floating restaurant? Or can I do like some water skiing thing? Can I start a swimming school? Let them decide how they can benefit from that resource. And that is my big key here. Like, don't take your beliefs and say like what I believe is best for me is going to be best for everyone. One thing I love about the internet that has helped me, like actual, I think love. I don't know. My definition of love is like your love is an involuntary reaction to virtue if you yourself are virtuous. And this is something that I also learned from going on the internet and learning from other people on the internet, getting out information. So when it comes to people love, that's the kind of situation. But I think a loving an entity, an inanimate entity, to me is information. To having this access to be able to share my thoughts, come out here, have people hear what I say, interact with me that don't have to be next to me, don't have to be here, but can get something out of it. I want to convey how much I appreciate of that and how much it's been positive in my life. And it's kind of sad in seeing that other people are limiting this in different situations. And I know there's certain limitations, like switching over to BitChute, going over to this new platform, this BitChain type of web torrent type of situation where I'm wondering, okay, uploading a video, I have a slower internet connection. You have a situation where you're marrying different things happening for the same reasons. The rain started coming early here in Nairobi, so you'll have a lot of rain, but yet a lot of rain is there, but you don't have water coming out of the pipes because there's some problems with the actual government and the state provided water system. Then you also have the same situation here where I have all this information, but I'm trying to switch it over, but you have a slow internet connection. You have the internet, but because of the producer actually supplying the internet, the internet service producer provider, they don't have the ability to actually get the information out there. I'm getting signal from my router, but no actual data is being taken out there. So I do understand there's certain limitations and things that you get in the information that you get, and I don't want to see this go to the point where we have this ability to share all this information, yet you have these limitations, these artificial limitations on the information people can get. I think that would be a really sad day, and I think we should do as much as we can to help the people who we think are sending out positive information. If you yourself think you have something positive to say, I really challenge you and ask you guys to go out there and help create more material, help create more content. Share your thoughts out there. You never know if you may be the person that makes something click for somebody else. You never know if you just have that certain way to communicate something to someone where they like understand. Even just sharing something and then putting your own summary of what somebody says on some platform, that might be something that, hey, like, oh, I didn't know this person thought about it in this way. And I know I started off earlier talking about how people should analyze things that people say, like talking about you shouldn't say like, oh, because this person is this, I believe them to be this way. They should put more salience and more importance in what you say. But it does happen. It still happens. It's the way people work. So ended up a little rambled at the end there, but yeah, it's been quite a process for me just trying to understand this, and I want to make more content. I want to keep it up. As I said, open a BitChute account. I was on VidMe before, that shut down because it wasn't profitable for the people who were running it. So we'll see what happens with BitChute. Still trying to understand how to upload things and make sure everything is up. Some of the videos don't seem to be working on that platform. I'm going to try to have my own personal site up, renteton.com, carbon33.com, and get that more robust and full to back up my things. I'm going to try to get things up on some audio platforms. I'm going to try to see if I can get some more people, like-minded people, and have some more planned programming and get some kind of schedule working. I opened a Patreon account. I don't really have that many subscribers right now, but any help on that aspect will be very appreciated to kind of also just hold me to this and say, okay, yes, I'm actually making something out of this. My initial goal is just to cover the costs of getting a website up and the material used to create videos. And once I can cover that, then I'd start creating other goals and things like that with it, and more direct interaction with patrons and people who are helping support the channel and things like that. Last but not least, there's nothing else. I got nothing. But yeah, so thank you for watching the video. Like, share, and subscribe. Links below to merchandise and a few things that I mentioned. And also, if there's any thoughts and ideas that you have on the things that I've said, please let me know. If there's any other platforms that you guys use a lot that you think, hey, maybe if I was on that platform, you may think those may be positive for me to join or look at. No, SoundCloud is a positive one. But yeah, so that's it for now. Like, share, and subscribe. Goodbye. Let me know about this YouTube purge. What you guys think about this? Are there any channels that you follow that have been taken down? I'm sure there's probably going to be some of you in here who do listen to Alex Jones's channel, and that has been one that's taken down. Sargon of Akkad. I'd imagine there'd be some crossover with people listening to my material and some that might listen to those channels. But how much do you think it's actually going to affect YouTube? Because I don't think it's going to affect them that much, because you have such channels like somebody going over manga and anime on a weekly basis, just talking about what happened in that week's show or that week's issue, and then just talking about, oh, this is what we think is going to happen in the future. Everybody watching has ostensibly seen it, but they'll end up watching it. And occasionally I'll find myself watching that, and I also understand why the world is the way it is, because more people would rather watch that, or many people would rather watch that than watch maybe a philosophy channel questioning why the state is the way it is. But hey, I understand that that's the way things work. But what sections of the internet do you find yourself on, the YouTube? Do you find yourself on and be like, oh man, I can't believe so many people are watching this. But then you also realize like, hey, I'm watching this right now. So it happens. Even though there's other aspects of it where you find might have more health or have more in-depth analysis on things. that are more worthwhile, because some of these channels do get really in depth on basic things like what is this character thinking. I don't know. Anyway, let me know.